So there are a lot of dangerous books in the world, and this is one of them. Illusions, Adventures of a Reluctant Messiah by Richard Bach. And it has sold 15 million copies worldwide since it came out, I think in the 80s, maybe the 70s. It's one of the perennial spiritual bestseller books out there. Its message is this: if you think about the world as if it doesn't really exist, then through the juju of your own strength of your own beliefs, that you can change and warp reality to suit whatever you want. It's sort of like the law of attraction, but on steroids. And here's my problem with it. So the gist is that the Messiah came unto earth, born in Indiana, and was a mechanic on an airplane. But he had all these magical powers. And soon there were crowds and crowds of people coming to him saying, will you heal my sickness? Will you make me rich? Will you fix all my problems? And he could demonstrate verifiable miracles, levitating, walking through walls, walking through the earth, reading people's minds, basically doing anything that your run-of-the-mill, divine entity could do. And then the Messiah is like, hey, I don't like all this attention. I'm going to leave and fly airplanes for a living. And that's where our narrative really kicks off, where our interlocutor, the main character of the book, in addition to the Messiah, starts getting lessons from the Messiah. He's another airplane pilot, and the Messiah is giving his tricks to learn his superpowers. And here's my problem with this book. One, it's presenting superpowers as if they really exist. The whole way he grounds the fact that he is powerful and has this ideology that he's able to give to you, it's because he can do these magic tricks. And then our friend can do these magic tricks. He levitates a wrench in his sleep. But the actual message is spiritual nihilism. It's that you can do anything you want. You are free to do anything you want in this life because the world isn't real. There's another world in multi-dimensions and space-time's all weird and messed up. They don't exactly explain how, but it is. And any action you have in this life is simply for your own solipsistic enjoyment. Solipsistic means like self-centered enjoyment. Or whatever you want. If you're suffering, it's because you want to suffer. If you're sick, it's because the lesson you wanted from this life is that you wanted to be sick. You wanted to learn something. And I find this just horrible because the world that we live in is not magical. If this character, the actual Messiah, showed up to me right now in this room and walked through a wall and then could levitate and could do all the magical powers that he said he could do in this book, okay, maybe I'd have a different perspective on things. But it's fiction. It's fiction, but 15 million people read this book for its spiritual insights. And that's messed up. And if you can do anything you want, up to and including, at the end of the book, here's the spoiler alert, the Messiah gets his head blown off by a guy with a shotgun. And before the guy blows his head off with a shotgun, he says, look, if we can do anything we want, that means I can blow your head off with a shotgun and it won't matter. And the Messiah's like, yeah, cool. Blow my head with a shotgun. You're totally free to do that. And he does, and he dies. But he doesn't really die because he just goes on to another plane of existence. Well, what if that's not true? Right? What if there isn't another world of spiritual insight out there where you have magical powers and you can, we're not all Neo in the Matrix. What if that's not true? Because honestly, there's no evidence. This is a work of fiction. Well, if it's not true, then the lesson that you are teaching to people is that they should have no responsibility to the other people in the world, their family members, their friends, other communities. It means you can commit any atrocity because you are selfish and this is all about you. I find this so unbelievably problematic. I'm going to read you one. It has these little aphorisms in it, like, there's like little poems in the book. I'm going to find you a section here. 1 second. The mark of your ignorance is the depth of your belief in injustice and tragedy. What the caterpillar calls the end of the world, the master calls a butterfly. Okay, so here's the thing. Injustice exists in the world. People have really bad lives. They don't all sell 15 million copies of a book that makes them at least $15 million, right? They don't There are people suffering all over the planet. There are people who are dying unjustly and they don't want it. It's not, people do not suffer bad feats because they came to this world and say, you know, I came to experience suffering. That is a way to ignore your responsibility in the world. If you take spiritual insights from a spiritual nihilist, you are responsible for being a spiritual nihilist. I don't like this book. There are a lot of books that I find put out this toxic spirituality. It's roughly related to the law of attraction. It's roughly related to this idea that you, or me, or whoever has these beliefs is special and can sort of project themselves out of the hard work of reality by having a delusion. But that's not the world we live in. The actual world we live in says that our actions have consequences. And when we absolve ourselves of having consequences for our actions, we become bad people. Don't be a bad person. Anyway, from PokeyBear LLC, Denver, Colorado, this was Scott Carney Investigates. Wait. Before I go, I want to say one more thing. So I have a Substack where I do newsletters, and I have a YouTube channel where I do videos, and a Patreon, and like all sorts of things around. And I'm finding that sometimes I want to write something that goes really long instead of doing a video. And just earlier this week, actually coming out on the same day this video drops, I have this long post about the placebo effect and the weirdness of how, you know, certain interventions like back surgery and even antibiotics, the placebo effect actually is pretty close to the actual healing effect of medicines. And it's something I think about a whole lot, and I'd love you to go check it out there. I may eventually do a video out about it, but the links that are down there in the description. And, you know, thanks so much for being here, and yeah, see you soon.